an aside before I get started. I love Walt Whitman. I've been a huge fan for many, many years. And one of the funniest stories I know about him is that we have literally dozens of reviews he wrote for newspapers of his own work under pseudonyms. You won't be surprised, they're glowing reviews, very positive. Really good at self-promoting, that one. Anyway. The great joy of what Unitarian Universalists now call transitional ministry is that you come into a congregation and you get to provide support and ministry in a time of change and dynamic tension. And you get to meet new people and you get to see a different congregation and how they're doing church and how they're growing and moving to meet the moments in which we live. And of course, the accompanying tragedy is that by the time you've learned the names and where the printer paper is stored and which holidays actually matter to this particular congregation and how each of the microphones work best and where the candles are stored and all those things, it's time for you to move on. But such is life. When I started in ministry, I had not planned to make a specialty of transitional ministry. I wasn't that interested in doing interim or contract or part-time or developmental jobs. But sometimes life takes you in a direction you didn't realize you wanted to go, or that you needed to go. And in my life and my household, my family has always come first. And that sometimes means that the professional opportunities you thought you wanted become the ones you're not going to take. They become second or third in the pecking order. And inadvertently, that's become a blessing for me. So here I am, some 12 years into ordained ministry and about 15 years or so into serving congregations as staff total, including that time as a minister. And I've worked for 9 congregations, 7 of them as an ordained minister, and some of those were overlapping because they were part-time. And I confess that some of the memories of different congregations start to run together, and that I'm much better remembering the faces than the names, which has always been true for me. But all those congregations and most of the faces and a few of the names stay with me in important ways. And I can't even imagine being the minister I am today, very different from the one who started out more than a decade ago, without all the people and churches that have formed me. So every church has taught me something new, given me something else to ponder as a minister and usually as a person too. Sometimes people who know I've worked at a bunch of churches ask about their own congregations, and though the questions are always different, I think it boils down to, how do we compare to other congregations? Are we doing better or worse than them? Are we weird or weirder than the other ones at least? And sometimes the differences are really obvious. I served our church in Berkeley, California. It is up on the Berkeley Ridge. It has incredible views of San Francisco Bay. It's a historic congregation. Or I served my home congregation. I returned after a decade or so away to serve 1 year with them remotely at the height of the pandemic. So that was a very weird experience on all sorts of levels. And they're a really interesting congregation, quirky, to put it mildly, in a very conservative area of Texas. And then I think of like the first church I served as minister in Malden, Massachusetts, which had a massive neo-Gothic building and a history. It was their 7th church building, actually, because they date back to 1648. So from this congregation, I'll remember the community feeling and this meadow surrounding us with native wildlife. I'm a really big fan of red-tailed hawks too, which we have in Texas where I grew up. So I've seen many of them over the years. I also think that you're going to be just fine without me. I'm not worried about that. But I mean, just in these times, they're challenging times. As I think I have said in literally every sermon for 7 months now, But again, the other side of challenging times is that they provide opportunity. And I think you're well poised to be a congregation that's vibrant and welcomes new people in and reaches out to its larger community over and over and makes a difference in this place, in this state, and this nation, in this world. I have said via our email vehicles, but I know people don't read the email, is really what I'm about to say. That was a joke. I hope some of you read the email. We actually get better open rates than a lot of congregations I've worked with, so that's okay. I do want to tell you what's next for me is the point of that, though. I've said it in the email already, but I start next week with the UUs of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. I'm excited about that. They're a little bit smaller than this congregation, but a growing congregation and providing very important ministry out in their particular neck of the woods. And I'm excited what's next for you as well, of course. Y'all didn't really branch out that far from Reverend Christian to Reverend Christie, I have to say, which I assume people in coming months may find confusing, though I don't think we're particularly that similar other than names. Anyway, I had lunch with Reverend Christie last week, and we ended up spending, this wasn't the plan, but spending 2.5 hours just chatting away about all sorts of things. Not just this congregation, but also the UU world and who we know and our families and all sorts of things. I suspect together you will have some great times ahead with Reverend Christie. And I want to take time to thank all of you for what you've done to support me and to support one another in doing this thing we call ministry together. I'm a huge believer in shared ministry. I have seen congregations that were limited because the minister had to be involved in every single thing, and I'm not that person. I don't want to be involved in every single thing. I hope that I'm empowering other people to do ministry. But I'm so thankful for the advice and guidance and the support from lay leaders and staff I've received here. Those times you have helped me remember the thing that I nearly or did forget, and forgiving me for some mistake I made. I'm particularly grateful for the warm welcome you've given my family when they've been able to join me here, especially John, who is a joy but also can be a handful. And it makes me happy every week that he asks if we're going to church. He's excited. He's excited to come here on Sundays. That's the sort of feeling I hope that we can engender in everyone in a church community, that they ask about it on Saturday because they're excited to go on Sunday mornings to come be a part of what we're doing. And John really is. He loves coming here. He's also better at getting up in the morning than I am, blessedly so, because I don't think if there were two of us it would work that well. So that sort of welcome extended to all who enter our door. I know you know this, but I'll say it again. That sort of welcome is a key to unlocking our full potential as Unitarian Universalists. So I'm glad, I won't go through all the things I think we've accomplished in 2 years here, but one of the ones I'm really glad about that I had tried a lot and then had very little to do with the success of happening is that we have a membership committee up and running once again. It's a difficult task in many ways, and it's so important to what we do. This is a time to welcome people into our warm embrace and give them support and connections, and to work constantly and consistently to help those in need. A time to resist evil, and a time to work for a better world. Because these have always been our calling, but they've never been more clear and more urgent and more important than they are right now. So I'll just close by saying that even in these challenging times, the future is bright. And though I will be away from this community, I wish you all the very best, and I'll hold the memories of Mill Creek close in my heart. So may it be.